My name is Dunny, Settle Builds and Stuff. Today I've got something truly amazing to show you, how to make this microcosm go absolutely ham. Microcosm, it fires a kinetic light beam. Remember that word kinetic? We are going to be pairing it with disruption break to get an extra 50% with kinetic weapons, and this is just absolutely disgusting. Trust me, it absolutely melts anything with a shield, including anti-barriers. Just look how fast these things get melted, and it's so easy to do. So stay with me, I'm going to show you a few little things to make Microcosm go crazy. So we will start off with the Microcosm, obviously Paracausal beam. It fires a beam of kinetic light, dealing massive damage against shields. On top of that, it's also got the perk on there, Paracausal Imbuement. Final blows with this weapon grants super energy, which is awesome, but this weapon also gains bonus damage once your super expires, 20% extra damage. So I stepped into the hardest difficulty lost sector just to test the numbers, and you'll see there 3968. All I'm going to do is add a disruption break weapon on there. What disruption break does is when you break an enemy shield with this weapon, it makes them more vulnerable to kinetic damage for a brief period. Of course, Microcosm is kinetic, which is pretty cool as well because it's a heavy ammo weapon, but it's an easy 50% damage increase. So once again, 3968. All I'm going to do in the next clip is use my anti-barrier pulse rifle and look at the state of that, 5952. That's the 50% damage increase, and it's really easy to do. Now disruption break works for you and your teammates, so if you're running it or your team's running it, one of your teammates, you're just going to get an easy 50% damage increase on that, which is just stupid anyway, just on its own. Then we could use the Paracausal Imbuement. Use your super just to gain an easy 20% damage increase, but you can easily stack these together because the Paracausal Imbuement does last for a very long time. I think it's 20 seconds, so you can use your super. You're going to have 20% flat out damage on your Microcosm, but then if you add your disruption break on top of that as well, which again you or your team can also do this, it's going to go up to 7141. That is the 20% extra damage from the disruption break number 5952. That's a total of 70% damage increase. Now this is where it gets absolutely ridiculous. Now this is the easiest damage buff you'll ever see in your life. Snare bomb, this applies weakening of 15%, but of course because we're on Prismatic, you can easily add radiant on top of that, 25% extra with facet of dawn. So you're going to add your smoke bomb, 15% weakening, 25% radiant. 3968 was the standard number with nothing going on. I'm going to do my disruption break, 50%, and on top of that I'm going to stick my smoke bomb to him to apply that 25% radiant and the 15% weakening, and just look at the state of that. It's absolutely disgusting. He gets absolutely melted. It makes him look like a dreg. 115% damage increase. That is absolutely crazy. Now it's 50% for disruption break, and then you get 25% for the actual radiance plus your 15% weakening. Now them numbers really didn't add up to me, even with the multiplicative buffs adding to each other. So basically radiant gives you 25%, the weakening gives you 15%, that's 40%, plus your disruption break, that's 50%, so it should only be 90%. Now the reason is why I think, and you can let me know in the comments, I believe Microcosm is actually coded as a pale heart weapon. Therefore, it's got the dealer's choice perk on there, which would account for the 25% when I was running the overcharged armory, so we will get an extra 25%, which does make sense. That makes it more like the 115%, so I think that's why it is. But even if we don't have that modifier active in future seasons, still 90% damage increase is crazy. The other thing to remember as well, we've got all different types of ways to buff our damage out. Even with our Prismatic super bar popping that, we're going to get extra damage on our weapons as well, just by running our Prismatic super. So all in all, it's just an absolutely great little build, little setup, just to run very, very easy. Now Izanagi's Burden is another one that works really nicely with this type of setup because you're going to get your honed edge. This is a kinetic weapon, don't forget. Now if you know me and you know this channel, I've covered disruption break Izanagi's probably like 4 or 5 times over the last couple of years on this channel, and it works really, really nicely, and everything you've seen works with this as well. 175. and all I'm going to do is just use my disruption break weapon. And again, I'll keep banging on about it. If you or your teammate run this, it works exactly the same, all the way up to 224. That's the 50%. And then again, you can add that weakening on top of there as well if you wish with your melee to get that radiant and the weakening and the disruption break going. And it absolutely slaps. One bangs even in GMs. I've tested it loads. And again, this is me. My friend is actually using the Izanagis in that clip there. Look at that. You can also use disruption break for your teammates if you wish. And again, I've focused on anti-barriers, but it does work against shielded enemies as well. That is actually the main purpose, against shielded enemies. So you can see these clips I've broke them witches down, and it just absolutely melts them. So all in all, it's really, really good. And against these servitors in the Devil's Lair, these used to be quite tricky. Just get destroyed. Look at that. It's really, really good. Just applying that disruption break, and again, it's just going to absolutely smelt them. And it does make these enemies, even the champions, feel like dregs on a patrol or something like that. They just get, it's like a knife through butter. It's so strong. And again, just a standard thing, just by breaking the shield. Look how easy that is. It had nothing else going on. Most of these clips, I had 1 or 2 kinetic surges running because I was just testing. So you can even stack out 3 kinetic surges and build into even more damage. I'd probably say most of these clips I was only ever really running 2 kinetic surges, and sometimes I don't even have my kinetic surges procced, and it's just absolutely gross. Really, really good. Just look how quick he dies, and like I said, it is super easy to do. Break the shield, stick a snare bomb on, and you're laughing. This season it's anti-barrier sniper and anti-barrier pulse rifle, but don't forget, when you've got a facet of dawn on, this gives all of your weapons anti-barrier, so you're not having to be forced to use pulse rifles or sniper rifles with anti-barrier. As long as you've got radiant going, there's all these weapons that can roll disruption break, plus many more. This was just a few that I just found in my vault. There's loads of different disruption break weapons. Builds for your Microcosm, something like Orpheus Rig. I really like Celestial Nighthawk, but the other one I found really interesting was Knucklehead Radar, because this will give you up to 30% damage as the enemies get weakened. I've done videos on this in the past as well, but I was using a Celestial Nighthawk build just for pure damage. I'll leave that dim link. The other thing I just want to talk to you just before the video finishes is a Facet of Grace, some key fragments. This one is really good because you, obviously with it being a kinetic weapon, the Microcosm, you're going to get loads and loads of transcendence energy. So it enables like a loop of play. Your super also grants you transcendent energy with kills. Facet of Dawn for that radiance, this is absolutely key. And then obviously that's going to power that smoke bomb, which is weakening, 15% on there. So they're the key fragments. You could sort of build into it however you want really, but they're the key ones in my opinion. And just like having the loop of play, getting loads of good transcendent energy, loads of super energy, and having that loop of play with a Paracausal Imbuement, plus your disruption break, it's a really solid little setup. What I'm going to do is leave a build card courtesy of my friend over on Twitter at Mr. Slayer God. The dim link is in the video description. I hope you found this video somewhat helpful. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.